Hi, how are you? It's Belen Diaz and this is the E-volve show. And today we have with us a very inspiring millennial woman. She started everything with a blog and nowadays she runs a very successful business. Her name is Leah. Leah is the founder of the business coaching company Urban 20 Something. She started as a blog and now she teaches her clients her specialty strategies in marketing and entrepreneurial mindsets, helping many go from side hustle to six figures. Hi, Leah, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for being here and for your time. So I've been looking at your website and everything is very, I really admire you for all your work. So why don't we start by maybe you want to talk a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. My name is Leah Gervais, and my business is called Urban 20 Something. And I am a business coach. We have a coaching practice. And I started my business about 4 years ago, having no clue it would actually become a coaching business. I really started out to write about my kind of quest to find career fulfillment after feeling very lost and going through kind of a quarter life crisis. I thought I wanted to go to law school. I decided not to go to law school. I didn't know what I wanted to do instead, but I was really determined to pursue, kind of a big life in New York. I wanted to have a really fulfilling career. I wanted to experience all that the city had to offer. I live in New York City and I really love it. So I started a blog called Urban 20 Something to write about my life as a 20 something in New York. And through my journey and creating my business and helping others build their business, I have been able to kind of find that life that I was always after. So Urban 20 something is not meant to say that my business is only for 20 somethings. Most of my clients are not in their 20s, but it is meant to help people find their version of that story and help them go back to maybe dreams that they had when they were younger or what they thought their life would turn out like. And, sometimes we get off track, but our vision is still always there. And I help my clients through entrepreneurship find it.
Yeah, that's so great. And I think it's also very inspiring to hear most of us that now we are living the life that we want, or we're working also every day. It's like a working experience. Every day you're developing new skills and learning to get to build that life that you want. But it's very interesting to see how you say you were struggling before and you didn't know what you were doing or things like that. And I signed up for your newsletter, so I encourage all of you to sign in. And it was very inspiring to see how you decide one day to hire a blog coach or something like that to help you to develop your business. If you want to talk a little bit about that, how to don't go just by yourself, always try to find somebody who can help you or mentor you.
Yeah, I was the queen of doing things by myself for a long time. For probably the first year or two, I did not I did not have any money to spend on a coach or a mentor or courses or anything like that. I was making an entry-level salary, living in one of the most expensive cities in the world, and um, I had student loans. It didn't make sense to me in my mind to do that. But after about a year and a half of me trying to do it on my own, I came to a fork in the road where I had to say, you know what, this isn't working. I'm doing something wrong. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's not working. And I'm spending more money on my website on just keeping it up and, trying to learn things here and there than I'm making. So either I need to just stop. I need to just decide that I'm no longer going to do this because I started this to be a side hustle and to make me extra money and it's not. Or I need to change what I'm doing and do something different. And, that meant starting to think differently and starting to think, well, maybe it is actually going to work out if I invest my money into learning from someone, because it's not working out this way. It's not working out by me not learning from someone. So at that point, I hired my first ever mentor, and I worked with her for only about a month or 5 weeks. I'm not exactly sure the timeline, but it wasn't very long, and she was affordable. It was closest to what I could do at the time. And she helped me find some areas of my website where I could have been making more money, but I just didn't know. I didn't know. And really what she did for me was open my eyes to how much I didn't know, and made me realize that no matter how disciplined you are, what a hard worker you are, until you have accomplished what you want to accomplish, you don't know what it takes to get there, or you would have already accomplished it. And so by hiring people, or finding mentors, or asking people who have been there, whatever way you want to do it, but just realizing that if you already knew how to do what you wanted to do, you would do it. And so because that's not the case usually, how can you learn from people that have done what you want to do? The irony is not lost on me that that's my whole business model now. That's all I do with clients, is help them. And it's funny to look back, because I feel like I resisted it so long, and I so didn't think it was like smart. And now it's my favorite thing to do, and it's how I help my clients the most. So it came full circle for sure.
Yeah, it's so interesting, right? How sometimes we're like, oh yeah, I'll do this by myself. Like I'm also in that situation sometimes that I'm like, well, I can do this, I'll do it myself. But then you realize what you say, like when you hire somebody who has that experience, like things move much faster because you're not spending all this time. I mean, it's great to learn about things, but sometimes when you have a vision and you know where you want to be, it's easier to find that mentor that is going to help you move there faster so you can enjoy life earlier, I guess.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then, so now you're helping mostly women, or men and women in your business?
Yeah, I have some male clients, but I probably work 90% with women. And I think it's just because I'm very open about like my lifestyle and everything, which is very girly. And, everything that my business has allowed to do is a big part of my why. And I share that a lot. So I mostly work with women who also want to use their business to really change their life, not just have a business for the sake of business, or have a business and work 20 hours a day, or have a business and have to put in 5 years of eating ramen. I'm not about that.
Yeah, totally. I feel like they probably feel related with you, and they see you and they're like, well, I want that life, or I want to accomplish what she did. So that's like really inspiring, totally. And do you
Oh, thank
feel
you.
like when you were with your clients, do you feel, do you see a common path, or like, because we're talking about self-confidence and all these things, do you see how women, we used to lack in confidence sometimes, especially when you're starting a business, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely see it more in women than in men. I've had some like pretty profound examples of different kind of fears that women have had about starting their business versus certain fears men have had about like my male clients, and just how differently they think about things. And I remember early on in my journey, a mentor told me something that really stuck with me, and it was that uh, on average, men will wait until they have around 60% of the qualifications to ask for a raise, whereas women wait until we have 100% of the qualifications to ask for a raise. And I know there's tons of things that go into the gender pay gap in the world, and in this country, the world is like a whole other beast. But my point is, that's a really important thing to know, is that women will wait until they are further along than men feel they need to on average. And I was really grateful to learn that early on, because it's really helped me help my clients and women that talk to me about what they want to do see how they are oftentimes waiting for a fictitious permission slip, and waiting until they are ready, waiting until they have the perfect idea, the right amount of money, enough time, everything together. All these things that oftentimes don't exist at all. Like most of us have no perfect time. Most of
We
us never
crave
have like
it.
a surplus of money. Yeah, you just have to decide that you're going to, change your life and make the most out of the obstacles that might come up with it during the time. So yeah, yes, to answer your question, I think confidence is a huge part of it. I think women hold themselves back longer than men. But I think if we have the awareness around that, then we can act differently and act faster. And, you know, in my experience, confidence is, it's something that you have to cultivate from inside for sure. But for the most part, confidence is feeling afraid of what you're doing, but doing it anyway. It doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It doesn't mean that you feel like this is perfect. It doesn't mean that you have the best of anything. It just means that you're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, and that brings me to one thing that I was reading about you, that you say when you're building a business, like choose to keep going and your confidence will grow. That I think is
Yeah.
so brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I've had, you know, some of my newer entrepreneurs look at my business and tell me that they can't sell as much as I do because they don't have as much experience as I do, or they don't have the testimonials that I do. And yes, I'm so proud of all the success stories that we've created, but I started out in that exact same boat. I wasn't just born with this experience or these testimonials. We all start at zero. And so it's not about waiting until you have that, you know, array of things to back you up. It's about creating them.
Yeah, and it takes time, and that's another thing. Like people just see success from the top, but they don't really see all the things that you've been going through, and all the learning and the long hours and everything. So I think it's just people has to realize, like, you just really have to just start. And we were talking with another speaker today that also, like, it's just not like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just take out that of your mind, just start doing it. And what you say, like, even if you feel you're not doing a great job, just keep going, right? It's like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, perfectionism is like one of people's favorite things to have. They say that they won't publish their website, or they won't put something on social media, or they won't send an email because they're a perfectionist and it's not perfect. And so how can they're just not ready. And they're proud that they're a perfectionist. You know, they kind of wear it like a badge of honor. But perfectionism is just a form of fear. It's like a high class form of fear. It makes it look like it's a lot more, you know, acceptable and fancy, but really it is chasing something that isn't real. Perfection is not real.
uh-huh.
And it's delaying you from getting your results as quickly as you want, because the only way you can actually improve that website or improve that email or improve the product is if you get people's feedback. And you don't do that by just waiting for something to go out there. So more often than not, perfectionism is just a convenient way to not start something, you know, if that's what you say you're waiting for.
Yeah. And then have you feel like in your life, or while you were creating this business, have you have any of these moments of keep going, or that you feel like totally depleted, or like you lost your confidence, like you were doing great and then you lost your confidence, you were like, okay, I have to keep doing this? Do you want to share any moment, if anything comes to your mind?
Oh yeah. So I've had so many moments like that. And I've had moments like that from, you know, let's see, how do I categorize these? So in my experience with business, it's always been like you kind of jump to a new level, and then sometimes you kind of plateau, and then you jump to a new level. And I think that a lot of people expect it to always be going up, 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 up. And it's not. And so when people expect it to go that way and they feel like, oh my gosh, well, I haven't made progress lately, or things are stalling, they think things are wrong. And, you know, that's often not how it goes. That's never been how it goes for me. And now I'm much more, I understand that, I'm aware of that. But in the early days, a lot of times I would get to a new level, it'd be so exciting, but then it'd kind of stall for a little. And I would be like, oh my gosh, was that a fluke? Did I do something wrong? And I definitely had moments where I thought that, you know, it wasn't really going to work. And when you start looking at huge companies, startups, sometimes they have entire years that are stagnant or years that are in decline. And so you can look at a huge company and maybe over the 10 years they've been really profitable. But if you zoom in, there's often months, sometimes even a year or more, where they're having no financial progress. That doesn't mean there's not progress within the company and hiring and product improvement and things like that. But we often just don't look at those type of things. So I've had moments through that. I also experienced a huge tragedy when I was in the middle of building my business. I was only 25 and my dad passed away out of the blue. It was very unexpected, and it was like the most, it was the most heartbreaking, tragic thing that's ever happened to me. I hope it will forever be the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I really had to dig deep to keep going during that time, because I was still at my 9-to-5 job, and I was doing this on the side. And so, when you're building a business around a 9-to-5 job, you, like, all hands are on deck. I was getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I was not going out on the weekends. It was really my focus. So then to be struck with huge grief and shock and sadness, it was very, very, very challenging. But it also gave me a lot of purpose, and it really made me realize how short life is, how precious life is. And, I just really decided that I wanted to do my dad proud. And that's what kept me going during this time. And though I'm not glad that happened to me at all, it was horrific. I still think that now it just built so much resilience in me, because I can always look back and think, oh my gosh, okay, you're having a hard day. Something didn't go your way. Something didn't happen. You totally got this. Because if you can get through that, if you can build your business through that, and I was able to really ramp it up during that time, and I quit my 9-to-5 job just a few months after he passed away. Everything else I can handle. That's the way I look at it now.
Well, Leah, thank you so much for sharing that part of your life. Yeah, I appreciate it. Would you like to give any tips to the audience about how to feel more confident while building a business, or while also, like, if you're in a 9-to-5 job, like, what would be your tips to feel confident, go to work every day, like ask for a raise or things like that for the women who are watching us?
Yes, my tip to building more confidence is something I still ask myself to this day. So a lack of confidence comes from fear, right? If you're not confident in asking for a raise, it's because you're afraid of what your boss will say. If you're not confident in starting a business, it's because you're afraid it will fail. So the opposite of confidence is fear. So if you don't have confidence, you're living in fear. And you have to ask yourself, what actually is scarier? Going for the thing I want and failing, or never trying and staying in the position I am? So if you want that raise, but you don't have the confidence to ask yourself, and it feels scary to ask, really ask yourself, is it scary to ask, or is it scarier to stay stagnant and stay stuck and maybe be at a job where I'm not getting paid what I'm worth? And a lot of times, women especially will sort of self-sacrifice here, and they'll say, you know what, I can handle the pain of not being paid enough. That's worth not asking for a raise. And when we do that, we not only hurt ourselves and sort of self-abandon, but we also aren't living in fulfillment to our potential, which makes us not as generous to the people around us. So an example here, to be clear about what I mean, is that think about the example you could be to other women in your work, or your kids, or friends that you might have, if you are the woman who no longer allows yourself to get paid less than your worth. So it's not just about your discomfort. It's like about you setting an example for what you think women deserve. And same with a business. Let's say you want to start a business and you're scared about doing that. But you can ask yourself, am I really more afraid of starting this business and in failing? Or am I more afraid of staying at a 9-to-5 job for the rest of my life when I know I don't want to, and I know I want to have something of my own? And I think that, looking at that question and always thinking, okay, here is what I'm afraid of, and it's okay to be afraid. I think that that's the key to confidence, is remembering that I'm afraid like every day. I'm still afraid all the time. It's never about having it go away. It's like, that's not the goal. It's just asking, am I more afraid of going for what I want, or am I more afraid of always wondering what else, I could do, or always wondering what if I did try, and living your life kind of in regret. And I think that when you put it into that perspective, it gives you a bravery that can help you go through with what you want, even if you're still afraid while you do it.
Wow, that's so valuable. I think that's just a brilliant thing right there. That's great.
Mm, thank you.
Yeah. And then I was gonna ask you, do you want to talk a little bit about your freebie? So everybody, Leah has a freebie for you, and I hope to go to the link below and grab it because I think it's gonna be very valuable. Because just hearing all this wisdom is gonna be awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. So we made a case study of my side hustle to six-figure journey. So I never believed that my side hustle could turn into a six-figure business. That seemed unreal to me. I thought for a long time, was the girl that thought I had to go to law school to get a six-figure salary or something like that. And I get it from just a hobby I started around my 9-to-5 job. So
Mhm.
you can see the 6 kind of chapters that helped me go from that side hustle stage to the six-figure stage. And through each chapter, I talk about what was going on professionally and personally in my life then, because I want to be really transparent that stuff wasn't handed to me, and that sometimes obstacles did come up, and sometimes I handled them well, and sometimes I didn't. And I hope you can learn from the things I did wrong. And I also talk about the things from each chapter that are still part of my business today. So if you're feeling like, I just hope everyone can identify which chapter they're in so it can help you kind of focus on what is most powerful during that time. Because like you said in the beginning, sometimes we see a success story and it's like, I don't even know where to begin and I need to go from here to there. And so we really broke it down so that you can be like, oh, okay, this is where I'm at. Here's what is going to help me right now. This is what I need to focus on.
Perfect. So we'll have the link to that. And I think do you want to add anything to the interview today? Anything you think?
Oh, well, just thank you so much for having me. I think what you're doing is amazing. I think the more women in the world who are showing up with confidence and understanding that confidence is not something that anyone is going to give you at all. It only can come from you. You have to give it to yourself. It's the best gift you can ever give to yourself. And we're recording this in the middle of this pandemic, in the middle of the coronavirus. I'm in New York City, so we're still really in the thick of it. Maybe some people are experiencing a little bit of relief. But I do think it's a moment of collective pause and of reflection in terms of what might be holding us back. And I hope that we as a society will stop allowing some of those things, because life is so precious and so short. And honestly, just another day healthy is a blessing. So I hope that everyone is, feeling excited about what opportunities are at their fingertips just by being healthy right now.
That's beautiful. Well, Leah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I think what you're doing is great, and I was honored to be a part of it.
It was a pleasure. Have a good one.
Thanks. You
Bye.
too.